everybody, thanks for joining me for another episode of Crafternoon here at Camrose Public Library. So today we're doing something a little bit different. It's actually a craft project that you can play with. We're making a game. What you're going to need is a box, like a shoe box would work. Probably best if it's not too wide this way. You need some long skewers or wooden dowels. You need an X-Acto knife. You need 10 clothespins and either some permanent markers or some paint and a hot glue gun as well, which I've got plugged in over here. So the first thing we're gonna do is you can take your box. I didn't decorate mine. You can wrap it in wrapping paper if you want to, or you could color it or paint it, whatever color you want. And what we're going to make, it's not done yet because I'm going to assemble it as we go. What we are going to make is a little mini foosball game using dowels and paper clips. So for foosball, you need 2 teams. So what I have done is I have painted 2 of my skewers and 5 of my paper clips purple, and I'm just leaving the other ones the natural wood color. You can go ahead and decorate yours however you want, but you need 5 of each for each team, so you want to make 5 matching on each side. So how this is going to work is we're going to take our skewers and we need to poke them through our box, but you need to measure before you poke, okay guys? If you have dowels, you'll have to poke a hole with a knife or something. So the way we measure them is we take our paper clip, we hang it on our skewer, and we want it to be able to clear the bottom of the box. So resting your skewer and the box on a table, you want it to hang a little bit above the bottom of your box. If you can see how mine just clears the bottom of my box there, there's a little bit of space. And then you go ahead and poke it all the way through. And we're gonna make 4 sets of these holes using the same kind of measurement. So getting your paper clip, it's not a paper clip, it's a clothespin. We'll make one near the goal of the other team, just clearing the bottom of the box and straight through, as level as possible. That 2. And you can either measure it or you can eyeball it. I'm just eyeballing it to show you guys how to make it. Measuring it might be wise. That way your players are evenly spaced. Here's 3. And one last time. There's 4. So depending on the length of your box, you could make more than 2 controllers for each player on each side. As long as your box is long enough this way. So once you've got your holes poked and your things painted, we need to make some goals at the end. Can you see me? So if you're using a shoebox, this will be really easy because you just cut out a rectangle depending on the size of whatever your ball is going to be. I'm using a little styrofoam ball. You could use a ping pong ball. Golf balls might be a little bit heavy for this. If you're using a box that has fold-in flaps, you're going to want to cut that right out. Otherwise, your ball is going to get stuck under there as you guys are playing. You need a nice flat surface at the bottom of your box. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this right out of my box. If you guys are young, you might want some help with using your X-Acto knife and your hot glue gun because it's very difficult to cut a box with a pair of scissors. See? And then that just pulls right out. You can cut off this little piece of tape as well. So now we can go ahead and insert. So this side where you insert the unpainted one, that's going to be the unpainted team's goal. Then we need a purple one. And we need an unpainted one. And then we need a purple one for the purple goal. And then you go ahead and hang your clothespins So we'll put 2 here near the purple goal, 2 unpainted near the unpainted goal, and then 3 evenly spaced out here on the purple offensive line, and 3 evenly spaced out here on the unpainted offensive line. Okay, here is where the hot glue comes in, because these aren't glued, they're not going to turn when you turn your dowels. So we are going to use our hot glue, and we are going to glue them to where they need to stay. I'm going to lift this up so you can see what I'm talking about. I want mine to stay right here, so I'm going to put a bead of glue on either side so that they stay. And make sure they're in the right place before you apply the hot glue, because once they're glued, in theory, hopefully, they stay where they're put. And gluing the purple offensive line. And gluing this one. This is a fun little game. Now you want to make sure when you're putting it together that your spaces, the spacing in between your clothespins is wide enough so that you actually have a chance of getting the ball through. Otherwise it's no fun playing this game because the ball will get stuck every single time. You also want to make sure that your clothespins are high enough up off of the floor of the box that once this glue dries, you can swivel them without them kicking against the bottom of the box, because they'll just get wedged in there. So we're gonna let those dry. Like I said, I just have a little styrofoam ball, but the size of your ball depends on the size of your box and the width of your box, like I said. So hopefully these are dry. They're not dry. I'm gonna come back and show you how this works once this hot glue is dried. To be continued and spliced in an artful video. Okay guys, welcome back. I've got the camera pointed way down here at an awkward height so that you guys can check out how this game works. So once you get these inserted and glued and they're nice and dried, you kind of want to give them a bit of a tug upwards because you want them to be able to slip. When you just poke them through, they can't slide back and forth like they're supposed to with real foosball. Because you want to be able to move your guys around to be able to get them to kick the ball. This might be a game that's best played while holding it in between 2 laps, so that you can brace it with your knees while you play. My ball just rolled out. Of course it did. Or else find some way, maybe pile up some books here so that on either side so that it doesn't slide back and forth as you're trying to slide your foosball players sideways. One critical mistake that I made in building my foosball table that you might want to be aware of is when you're putting in your goalies, you want to make sure that there's room for them to swivel all the way around, because these guys can only go from there to there. So they can't swivel around to grab a ball that might be behind them. They're just going to end up knocking it through the goal. But it's a pretty basic thing to do. Fun way to be creative and then spend some time with what you've created afterwards with a family member. Thanks guys. Have a good week.